tell my mom that I majored in the weekend. Sit and meditate about my problems. I never flaunt them, but all the homies chasing rings like they won't be Gollum.
What is the deal, beautiful people? It's your boy Ramon, Lifestyles Defined. Welcome back to another episode of AMA. How this works, you ask your question in the comment section down below, and we answer it in upcoming videos. Today's question comes from Hasanti. He says, "Hey Ramon, nice video. I am trying to get back into photography. Come on in, son, the water's warm. It has been years. It's like riding a bicycle. Never really forget. What equipment would you recommend for someone who wants to get back in? Consider me a noob again. What should I look for?" Wow, this is always a tough question. I think it's important. It's important when asking this question to have an idea of what type of photography you want to do, because that can build a healthy structure that could lead you down a specific path. Now, getting back into photography, I don't think you should be spending large amounts of money to get back into it. In fact, I feel like photography has never been cheaper. Everyone's getting into it with the introduction of mirrorless cameras and a lot of them. Things are cheaper than they've ever been. I remember back in the day, a DSLR will cost you about $1,500, and people were just like, "Whoa, can't afford that. We'll just use these little compact cameras," and those were shit. So what I would say is, you definitely want to get you something that's versatile, and versatility means you get something with a interchangeable lens. So that means, as you grow and as you get better, you can upgrade the lens. And what a lot of people don't understand, and I'll tell you now, is it's not always the camera. The lenses are what makes the shot. The sharper the glass, the better, and you can always get better glass. In fact, there are people out there who are shooting on Canon's old T3i systems, but they buy the newest glass, and you would never be able to tell. The image is just sharp. So the good thing about buying a base camera with the ability to interchange the lenses is, as you get better and better, more advanced, more serious, you can always get the lens. And then later on, when you surpass that, you will then use that Boss lens that you bought on the new Boss camera that you buy, and it all goes nicely. It transitions nicely. Now there's a thing out there with DSLR versus mirrorless. So pretty much the easiest way to look at this is it's Canon and Nikon versus everybody else. So what a DSLR is the camera itself. I don't even have a DSLR here. The camera itself has a mirror in the body, and when you hit the shutter button, the mirror, because the mirror is important to a DSLR, because the mirror is how it reflects inside, so you can see out of the lens, so you see what the camera sees, right? And when you go to take the picture, the mirror moves out the way, it exposes the sensor captures the image. Mirrorless does not have a mirror inside. Mirrorless. So the way you see from a mirrorless is the computer is reading directly off of what the sensor sees. Now there's a few upsides to this, right? The benefits for me as a mirrorless versus DSLR, I prefer mirrorless because the lack of that mirror means that they can physically get the bodies a lot smaller than DSLRs. Secondly, and this is an advanced thing, when I'm looking through the viewfinder of a mirrorless camera, when I'm making changes, I actually see those changes live in my viewfinder. So if I make the image too dark, I can tell. On a DSLR, you can't. You only can tell after you take the picture. So little things like that here and there. But DSLRs, they focus faster. There's a wider variety of them. You can find Canons for dirt cheap. Even prospectively going up the line with the expensive cameras, you can still find them pretty cheap. They have so many lenses, and again, mirrorless, it can be a good entry point. For me, I would tell you to get a mirrorless camera because of the size. And this is something I used to equate it back to the old school when laptops were like 12 pounds, right? People, no, I need a desktop replacement. I'm like, don't buy that. It's too big. Nah, this is fine. I'm like, listen, that thing is 12 pounds. You're never gonna walk around with it. It's never gonna leave your house. And at that point, it defeats the purpose of buying a laptop. And you're like, nah, not true. 2 years later, the laptop's sitting on a table somewhere, and it never left the house because it was too goddamn heavy. Don't let that be your camera. Sure, you're looking at it now like, oh no, let me get this. It's kind of bulky, but it's fine. I'll just put it in my bag, and then day in and day out, and you're like, oh, man, that shit's too big. I'm not walking around with that. Whereas you get something nice and small, you'll be inclined to carry it with you every day. And if you carry it with you every day, hopefully you're going to shoot with it every day. You're going to become more comfortable. So that's one. Two is a lot of the features in a mirrorless camera, like something simple like the ability to transfer pictures over Wi-Fi from the camera to your phone. These features are in every mirrorless camera. They're sparse in the Nikon and Canon world, in the DSLR world. So, little features like that, and little photography things like peeking, focusing, and whatnot. I feel like mirrorless is just it's just a better system to me, right? There's somebody out there that's gonna crack the whip and give me like some fucking 12 paragraph comment as to why not. But you're asking me, and I'm telling you. In terms of which mirrorless to go with, I love Sony. I also love this Olympus, but this is a Micro Four Thirds sensor, and that's another conversation for another day. The sensor is pretty much smaller in here than the sensor in my Sonys, or any of the Sonys you'll get on the market, which means technically it's not as much megapixels or quality, but there's some quality to be had. So I guess the ultimate question is, yes, I recommend something with interchangeable lens. Yes, I recommend mirrorless. Now that leads us to you. I want to know the type of photography you want to get into, and I want to know the budget. I want to know your price range. For a beginner, I would say something like $500 is good enough to get you a camera and a kit lens. I would look into something like a Sony a6000. I would look into something like an older OMD. I would look into something like this is Olympus. I look into something like one of those Fuji cameras. 500 is a good amount. You get nice quality there, and you'll be happy. It'll be a quality camera. It'll last a while, and again, it'll have that ability to scale with you. One thing to know though, Sony lenses can get expensive. Olympus, because they've been around for a long time, and they shared lens systems with Panasonic, you can find fairly cheap lenses all over the place. I think the same with Fuji. I've seen cheap Fuji lenses. So yeah, hit the comments, let me know what type of photography you want to get, you want to get into, and also what's your budget. I hope I helped you this far. Like the video if you like it, hit the comments below, and any other tips that you guys may have, hop in the comments and leave some suggestions for the homie. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There's also a bell right next to that subscribe button. You hit that and it'll let you know the instant we make a video live. We would really appreciate that. My name is Ramon. I'm out of here. Peace.
From the deep forest into the sun.